Yi Sun Shin, born on April the 28th of 1545. He was a Korean naval commander and is famous for his legacy of the victories against the Japanese Navy during the Imjin War in the Joseon dynasty. Yi Sun Shin is a well-respected leader, not only for his exemplary conduct on the battlefield, but off the battlefield as well. He is arguably the greatest naval commander in history for his undefeated record against many challenges that he faced.
Without Yi Sun Shin, Korea might not exist as it does in present day. The closing years of 16th century found Joseon Korea beset with considerable political and economical difficulties. This stirred up feelings of distrust and resentment in the people. As a result, there was a decline in military discipline and national defense was put seriously at risk. Meanwhile, across the Korea Strait, Toyotomi Hideyoshi had in the year 1590 put an end to 150 years of civil conflict by successfully unifying Japan under his rule, planned the invasion of neighboring countries so that he would be better able to control their internal feuding. Hideyoshi requested the Joseon king to permit free passage through Korea for the swift movement of his army into Ming China. Korea did not anticipate his invasion, and they were completely unprepared when Japan presently invaded with 160,000 troops in the April of 1592. Fortunately, Korea had not yet lost control of the sea. The Japanese planned to deliver supplies to their soldiers by the sea, and they encountered Yi Sun Shin. Yi Sun Shin became a naval commander as his abilities took up the task of reviving and restoring the Korean naval force. He straightened the administrative system, improved the condition of weapons, and tightened sailors' discipline. Even though he suffered continuous hardships in his personal life, as when his king tried to kill him because he was jealous of his popularity, Yi Sun Shin's loyalty to his country never wavered.
The Battle of Myeongyang. The Battle of Myeongyang was led by Admiral Yi Sun Shin on October 26, 1567. The opponent of the battle was the Japanese Navy. The battle took place in the Myeongyang Strait near Jindo Island off the southwest corner of the Korean peninsula. Yi Sun Shin and his men were outnumbered and outsupplied with only 13 ships that remained from Admiral Won Gyun's disastrous defeat at the Battle of Chilchongyang. During the Battle of Myeongyang, Yi Sun Shin held the strait as a last stand battle against a fleet of 133 Japanese warships, with at least 200 support ships. Yi Sun Shin studied the unique tidal conditions of the strait before the battle began, which is one of the war tactics that brought him the success of the battle. He wanted to fight in the waters of the North Strait, where the currents were calmer, meaning Yi Sun Shin and his men would be at the advantage. Therefore, he lured the Japanese warships into this trap. While the Japanese were approaching, Yi Sun Shin, of course, had another plan set before it began. He had chains across the channel between Japanese fleet groups. This and the tide shifting surprised the Japanese as their ships began to drift backwards and collide with each other. In this moment, Admiral Yi Sun Shin ordered the ships to attack and advance, plunging 30 Japanese ships. By the end, the Japanese lost 33 warships against 13.
According to the principles of strategy, he who seeks death will live, and he who seeks life will die. And again, if one defender stands watch by a strong gateway, he may drive terror deep into the heart of an enemy, coming up by the 10,000. You, my captains, are expected to render strict obedience to my commands. If you do not, not even the least error will be pardoned, but severely punished according to martial law. Yi Sun-shin kept hold of the courage of his captains. The Battle of Noryang was the final naval battle in the war. A Japanese fleet of approximately 500 ships together withdraw Busan back to Japan. The Korean Navy under Yi Sun-shin discovered the fleet and made a surprise attack using cannon and fire arrows. By dawn, nearly half of the Japanese fleet were scattered. The Ming men of China also aided Yi Sun-shin fighting against Japan. The Japanese were unable to move as the narrowness of the Noryang Strait also prevented any maneuverability. The ships of Korea and Japan got so close, Joseon armies started throwing woods on fire at the Japan ship. As the Japanese retreated, Admiral Yi Sun-shin was shot near the armpit on his left side. The wound was fatal, but the admiral uttered, "Do not announce my death." And with these words, he died. Only 3 people witnessed his death. They struggled to regain their composure. Yi Sun-shin's son and nephew continued the beating of the drum and acted as Yi Sun-shin himself. As a result, only 50 out of the 500 Japanese were able to escape. The Battle of Noryang finally put an end to the 7 Years' War.
In Korea, Admiral Yi Sun-shin is considered one of Korea's greatest heroes of all time, even till this day. Koreans look upon Yi Sun-shin as a man of courage, perseverance, strength, self-sacrifice, intellect, and loyalty to his country. One reason Admiral Yi Sun-shin was successful in his battle was because his cannon had longer range and power than the enemies, with the Japanese heavily favoring troop transport over naval combat. His turtle ship also, which had first set sail the day before the invasion, was very effective in leading the attack and breaking the enemy's formation. Yi won all of at least 23 naval battles fought while suffering very minimal losses, destroying a lot of Japanese ships and killing a lot of Japanese soldiers.
His legacy and inspiration still stands today in Korea, as a statue of him stands in the square of Seoul, Gwanghwamun. Many people look at him as the ideal leader.